What's up, metal and heavy music fans? It's time for Trench Talk, and I am your host once again, Flight of Icarus from metaltrenches.com. And I've got an excellent interview lined up for you today. I'm talking with Kadeem from the metallic hardcore fusion-y, Deftones-y band LOATHE. We had a good time talking. They're doing a sound check for a show, so you may hear some bass drum in the background, but that just makes it real, right? Makes it more real. Before I get to that, though, as always, please do subscribe to this podcast. And you can listen now via YouTube, iTunes, Castbox, Spotify, and BitChute. So you got plenty of choices, but also regardless of where you subscribe to the podcast, also subscribe to the YouTube channel because there's plenty of other content there that you can watch, from album reviews to album tier lists, retrospectives on bands, all sorts of cool stuff. So definitely check that out. But I think without further ado, let's get into the interview.
Yo, my name is Kadeem France. I play in LOATHE, a band from the United Kingdom. We just released an album called I Let It In, It Took Everything. I'm currently on tour right now promoting that album.
Yeah, exciting, man. And I was curious, how are you feeling about the overall response to the album so far?
Oh, it has absolutely blown us away. Because we obviously took a lot of risks on this album. We
Definitely
didn't know what to expect. Yeah, we didn't know what to expect with people, whether people would be on a wavelength of understanding what we're trying to convey. But I think it's been people have. I'm really surprised how well people have understood what we're going for and have supported it. I'm very, very happy to have such understanding fans of our music. It's amazing.
Yeah, I got to tell you myself personally, I cannot stop listening to this album. I was bumping it again today. It's been nonstop, and I'm not a big pre-order guy these days, but
Yeah.
just the first listen, I ordered it immediately, and then it's been, I couldn't stop after that. And speaking of what you're trying to convey, I mean, my personal take on it is that it's kind of like Vane meets Deftones, and I'm curious what you think of that comparison.
That's a really cool comparison because they're both really amazing bands. So that's sick. Thank you a lot. Yeah, that sounds that sounds about right.
Well, and I know too I was kind of poking around, seeing what I could learn about you and the band before I came in here. And I know that you guys are Deftones fans, and I was kind of curious, when did you first get into them?
For me personally, it's been a while, a while back when I was younger, before I was even really into heavy music as much. I played this game called Saints Row. I don't know if you remember it.
Hell yeah, dude! I love Saints Row.
On the radio, I think it was Saints Row 3 or maybe 2, but on the radio, they had Hole in the Earth, and that was one of the first times I'd ever heard Deftones. And
wow.
I remember thinking to myself whoa, why is this music making me feel this way? I'm not usually into heavy music, but then obviously as times went on, I feel like with Deftones, they're a band that you almost mature to, in a way, if that makes sense. Because when I was younger, it was just breakdown. But then as I got older, I started to be able to appreciate the melodic side of music more. And I think Deftones are one of them bands that I definitely took to a lot better as I got older.
Yeah. They strike me as a very unifying band too, in an interesting way, because it's no matter what genre I have of somebody as a guest, they almost always come up. I had Malika from Abnormality, so brutal technical death metal band, and she cited them as a big early influence, and just across the board. So you got into them then. So Hole in the Earth, that's Saturday Night Wrist era. Did you go back at that point and kind of listen to their whole catalog, or how big of a fan are you?
Honestly, my favorite album, and I probably sound like the worst Deftones fan, is Diamond Eyes, because that was the album when I think it was around when I'd left college. I think I must have been around 19 or 20. When I was properly listening to Deftones, and it was Diamond Eyes all the way.
And how much of an influence would you say Chino's singing style is?
Sorry, It cut up a bit there. Sorry.
Uh,
Could you start again? Sorry.
yeah. So how much would you say of an influence Chino's singing style is on you? Because I gotta say, like, it's uncanny, like to the point where if they needed somebody to fill in, you could easily fill in. Like, it just begs me to wonder, like, is that a conscious choice? Did you start like I know when I was early getting into like vocals, like I did actually like try to emulate. I wanted to be him on some level, but I'm wondering, is that a conscious choice on your part, or is it more organic and
Uh,
that's just what happens?
I think in a way it's organic because like all my life I've always, I've been singing since I was young, like since I was like a baby almost, and it's always been like R&B and stuff like that. But obviously, as I got older and got into heavier music, and then actually started singing with this band, uh, we were listening to a lot of Deftones, and like that was just the main influence when it came to our whole like melodic side of music. Same with Glassjaw and like Radiohead, like the other two really
Hell
big
yeah.
influences on us.
I love both
And
of those
but
too.
sick. But yeah, no, I think like it was mainly just I think yeah, it just came natural to us really. Like I think Eric sounds a lot more like Chino than I do though. He's proper got it down to the T. Like
That's wild. So do you, and I forgive me because I'm still kind of this album was where I got like really struck with you guys. I kind of missed the Cold Sun somehow. I did catch the EP in 2018, and then kind of like I noticed that today. Like I looked up Loathe again in my phone, and I'm like, oh shit, I like reviewed this EP that I completely forgot about, and I love this song.
oh shit,
But
what?
so do you share some vocal duties then on the album, or is it all you?
Well yeah, no, it's singing wise it'll be between me and Eric.
Okay.
Funnily enough, he's just walked into the room.
Hey, what's up?
But yeah, there's one song off the on the new album, the Sad Cartoon, that is just solely Eric singing. But for the most part, it will be like back and forth between me and Eric. Sometimes I'll sing a chorus, sometimes he will, and vice versa.
Cool. I love dual vocalist approach. Like,
Yeah,
there's just something that adds to the
yeah,
performance and everything.
it's so cool to us now because I've only just started singing a lot more. Like usually it's just screaming back and forth between me and him, but now like I feel like it's opened a new world of like feeling for music. Like when me and, for example, there's a song off the new album, the title track, I Let It In and It Took Everything. At the end of that song, it's a back and forth between me and Eric, and we've been playing that song on this tour, and like it's such a like amazing feeling. Like my brother, who we've been doing this for so long, and like when we get to that one moment in the song, it's just like a pure connection.
That's so cool. I live for seeing moments like that on stage too. Like there's just something about that. And I also wanted to ask too, given what we were just saying about Deftones and Chino, what was it like to have Cheeto himself actually tweet out the music video for Two Way Mirror?
Oh my lord, that was honestly, it still doesn't feel real now. Like when I think about it, it's so surreal. Like, funnily enough, as well, the day that happened, I was actually out all day. And I didn't have a SIM card for my phone at the time because I was waiting for a new one. So I was out all day without the internet, not knowing obviously what had happened. And on my way home on the bus, I was actually listening to Deftones. And so I get home, connect to the Wi-Fi, and my phone starts blowing up. And I see what happened, and I scream the house down. And my mum comes running into the living room. She's like, "What's up? What's up?" And I'm like, "Chino just shared Two Way Mirror," and she's like, "Oh, that's lovely, baby." I'm like, "No, you do not. It's understand.
More than just lovely."
Like, yeah, this is like a landmark in my life right now. Like,
that's wild.
It's crazy.
So, where did the idea come up to kind of mash that more melodic style into this really intense, more metallic hardcore approach? Like, where did that idea kind of start?
Honestly, it wasn't really an idea. It was more of like where we were at as people, like as a band. Like I feel like with this album, it's the first time that we've ever fully just not held ourselves back by what others will think of us because we're trying something new, you know. And especially with the second album, I feel like a lot of artists can get like trapped in their own head with the expectations of others. but we just sort of were like, it's been so long since we recorded the Cold Sun. A lot has happened. We've changed a lot as people. We're just going to be as true to ourselves as we can musically and not create something that another person would expect of us, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I think it was just more of an something that just came natural to us.
And I can hear that shift kind of between albums because there's clearly like there's a through line, but it does feel like there's just like a completely different mentality going into this new album where it's like the heavier parts are so much heavier, the melodic parts are kind of even more fleshed out, and just across the board the songwriting is just there's I don't know how to describe it. There's more focus, there's more kind of just pure raw like intensity to it too. Were there other big influences on you as you were all writing this record?
In terms of like artists and stuff,
or anything really.
Honestly, not on my part, more for Eric's part. Eric takes a lot of influence from David Lynch.
Yeah, I want to get to that too.
Yeah. I'd say a lot of like Eric's influence and stuff. What inspires him, and he puts a lot of that into the music and everything, and just even down to like movie scores and like anime, comics, anything that is like of a creative fictional world. We like to draw as much like inspiration from.
Well, and I saw that in another interview where that came up, and I just find it interesting how it's like subconsciously I keep getting drawn to albums that just happen to have members who like share key interests with me, even though maybe they're not like explicitly described as a part of the music. And that's one that comes up again and again when I get bands on here and we start talking is particularly David Lynch and Silent Hill. Both come up frequently. And I'm a huge fan of both of those things. And I'm more and more interested at that pattern. And so how would you say, I mean, starting with, let's start with Silent Hill. Like, how does that influence the direction of your music?
I'd say even just like, there's, for example, there's been times when we've been in a creative space and we've just literally put the soundtrack on for Silent Hill, and we've been like, how is this track will make you feel? Like, we want to like emulate that feeling for this part of the song, type thing. Same with another example. Remember that movie Sinister?
Yeah.
A while ago when we recorded our first music video for In Death, we literally we rented this, like, I think it was like a basement. Well, we didn't even rent it. I think it was a friend of mine's basement, but he lived in a really big house, so the basement was creepy as fuck. And we had like a massive PA, and we basically just put the entire soundtrack to Sinister on, and we just had that, and like that just it just set the vibe in the room, and we just knew it. Almost like doing stuff like that for me makes not so much guidelines, but where to go and where not to go creatively, because you know what headspace you're in, because everyone else is on that wavelength, because you're focused on that one moment, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, that's really cool. Do you have a particular favorite when it comes to the Silent Hill soundtracks?
See, with Silent Hill, it's more Connor and Eric's influences. Obviously, I'm not like a huge fan, but I played the games and stuff like that, but I don't really know any like specific tracks. But
what's your favorite game?
Favorite game in general, or like horror?
You said you played the Silent Hill ones. Do you have a favorite of those?
Yeah, it was the one with the guy. I feel like such a bad fan now. You ask me these questions. I think.
Describe the plot, and I'll be able to tell you which one it is.
It was on 360 maybe, and it was like a guy with a massive pyramid head.
Yeah,
I had the level with him in it.
He's shown up in a couple. Was it the one where the guy's looking for his dead wife, or was it the one with the guy who's like ex-military?
I think it's ex-wife.
Ex-wife. Okay, so that would be Silent Hill 2, which is my personal favorite as well.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
fair.
that's
Yeah,
the first
cool.
one with the only one that really makes sense to have Pyramid Head in it too, because he's supposed to be kind of like uh, his subconscious, like bringing to life his own like desire to torture himself, kind of. So it's kind of weird when he
Mhm.
shows up in other games because it's supposed to be specifically tied like to a person. But anyways, I could talk
Oh,
all
okay,
day
fair.
about that shit. um, what other games are you like in general big into? You mentioned Saints Row. Are there other games that like influence your
Um,
music or that you just spend a lot of time playing?
the Warriors is a really like just everything about that game and the movie, and that influences a lot of like our music as well, like just like the really old like 70s synths and stuff like that. That I don't know. Have you seen that movie, the Warriors?
You know, it's on my watch. It's been on my watch list probably for like 10
Bro,
years now, and I just
you
have not gotten around to it. I know so much about it now because I've heard so many other people talk about it, but yeah, I know I need to watch it. I know it's got
yeah,
the
no, that
classic Warriors come out and play with
yeah, yeah,
the, the beer bottles and everything. Also,
yeah, no,
that
like,
guy is in Twin Peaks, so going back to David
oh
Lynch.
really?
Yeah.
Oh, fair,
Yeah.
but yeah, not like the Warriors definitely. Trying to think of other games. Yo, did you ever play Def Jam Fight for New York?
No, I was just watching somebody do a video on YouTube talking about it and how much they loved it, though, and it made me want to play it.
Yeah, that was a great game. It's a shame that they ruined the franchise with the game after it, though.
That's what I need to send you the link for this video because that was specifically what they were talking about. Was that
Oh,
was a great
really? You know
franchise, and
what?
then they totally destroyed it.
I literally I can sit there and watch videos of like people talking about games. I'll probably watch that video.
Yeah,
But
man,
yeah,
I'll send you the link. It's great.
sick. But that Dragon Ball Z has always been a big thing for me in gaming and even like just watching the anime. Trying to think of other games. Guitar Hero. Guitar Hero
Yeah,
is
man.
actually probably a big gateway to me being into heavy music. Like I found out a lot of like different bands and their music through playing them games. What else? WWE, of course. SmackDown versus Raw. Uh,
Were there particular songs from those games that really stuck out to you?
yeah. Tool. First time I ever listened to Tool was through Guitar Hero.
Oh, hell yeah.
Schism. That was like the first song I properly listened to them,
Yep.
and I was just blown away. Like so amazing.
It's a great
Bullet for
song.
My Valentine. Stream Aim Fire was also on Guitar Hero. Rage Against the Machine on Guitar Hero 3, Balls on Parade. That was the first time I ever heard that song. And yeah,
I I remember getting hooked into that song because of Tony Hawk. I think it was Tony Hawk 2 or 3 that was in the
okay.
soundtrack. And I remember being confused though when I finally got the album because it was like a censored version they had in the game and they cut out the like all hell can't stop us now. They changed it to like oh yeah, can't stop us now.
That's jokes. That's jokes.
um you mentioned so I know you're also what's damn it, I'm already blanking on the name of the game, the like rap fighting game.
Oh yeah, Def Jam.
Def Jam.
Fight for New York.
So I saw that you're also a Earl Sweatshirt fan.
Oh yeah.
I'm a big fan of kind of that whole Wolfpack group.
Yeah.
Are there other like hip hop and rap artists that you're particularly into?
Yeah, do you know what? I'm gonna get my Spotify right now. So yeah, obviously Earl Sweatshirts, Tyler the Creator, that goes without saying.
How do you feel about him winning the Grammy?
I think it's amazing. I'm really, really happy for him. I think it's just mad. It's mad that it hadn't happened sooner because I feel
Yeah.
like Tyler the Creator did so much for like people in our age group in just terms of like he made skate like wearing Vans cool. Like there was a time when if I was wearing Vans, people would call me like a goth or some shit. You know what I mean? Like or like even like being into skateboarding or being into anything alternative. I
Yeah.
feel like he was at like the forefront of making that a thing that's okay and like made it part of like mainstream culture.
Yeah.
which has its pros and cons, but for the most part, it has pros.
No, I agree. Like, I feel like he really did flip the game in so many ways. I mean, for one, like, he's just so creative and he really doesn't seem to give a fuck about like being in a particular box.
Mm.
So his music is so it's like he even said too that he feels like he shouldn't have won in like a rap it's not a rap album
Yeah,
is the
yeah,
way he
nah,
put
'cause
it. Uh,
there's always like with black artists for the most part,
they've
it
got the
doesn't
like
matter what you try
urban
and do, they'll just
category.
yeah, exactly what he said. I agree with all of that, man, for
Yeah.
sure. But I'm trying to think of other artists. Have you ever listened to Wiley?
Mm-mm.
Wiley, he's a UK MC, grime MC. He's like a legend, like from. Are you onto the genre grime?
Here and there. I'm not as tapped in.
Oh, fair. Well, he's one of the OGs from that. He like started. He was around when it first started, and then obviously Stormzy, Skepta, Goldlink, really sick artist. I just recently started listening to the baby. He's
Yeah,
sick,
I spend
sick.
so much time listening to so much metal that I'm kind of out of the loop. Like I am a fan. I'm not so
Yeah.
much into a lot of like kind of the SoundCloud scene, but
Oh,
there's
okay.
certain artists that jump out at me that I have been like, oh yeah, I like that. That's pretty cool. But I'm also more into like old school shit. Like Wu-Tang Clan is one of my all time
Yeah,
favorites. And
nah.
yeah,
Wu-Tang Clan, very big. Yeah, like the like for people I like grew up listening to, it's kind of like Wu-Tang Clan, like A Tribe Called Quest, obviously Tupac and Biggie. I'm trying to think of who else. Erica Badu.
mm-hmm.
There's quite a few. Helter Skelter. I don't know if you've ever listened to them. They're like old school, really
No.
sick. Um, but yeah, Busta Rhymes, like he was.
Yeah, man,
Yeah,
Busta, dude, he's still like one of my all time favorites in terms of just his delivery is so
yeah,
fast and
insane.
so slick, and he's got a kind of interesting tone and cadence and everything. I
Yeah,
love
so
that.
sick. I think of who else. Outcast.
Yeah. Oh
Sure.
man.
But
I
yeah,
was
there's a
just
fair
listening
few.
to a podcast and they were talking about how Andre 3000 is like one of the most unique and interesting rappers of like that entire generation.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. He did so much as well. Like he changed in a way, kind of like changed rap to like his own thing, and just kind of like set a lot of boundaries with just trying different and new things in rap that had like never really been done before, which I think is so sick.
Yeah. How do you feel like that those influences do they play a part in what you're doing with Loathe, or is it just something you enjoy also listening to?
Um, I think in parts, yes. Like for example, I grew up listening to a lot of grime, and what attracted me to grime a lot, I think, was the raw aggression of it, and a lot of the like grime instrumentals are very like dark, got a lot of like dark and weird like chords and stuff like that. So like that also like is what attracted me to that, and then I feel like it's kind of similar with like it's almost I'd even go as far to say is grime is in a way its own version of like punk. It's like UK punk, but like different. So I feel like with the aggression and like there are even some songs like New Faces in the Dark in the beginning where it's not exactly rapping, but it's like speaking with aggression, and I feel like that is something that I've taken from that genre from when I was younger, listening to it as much as I was.
Yeah. I feel like this also kind of links into what you were saying earlier about kind of going for emulating an atmosphere or feeling more so than
Mm.
necessarily a sound. Because I see a lot of that crossover, and I try to sell like a lot of metalheads on it because there are still like I feel like there's so much more genre mismashing now that people are more open to it, but there's still more of those kind of like forever metalheads that it's like, no, it's either metal or it's not. But my selling point is
Yeah.
usually like, no, man, like listen to like consider the feeling. Like I'm a more like listen for feeling kind of person.
Mm.
So I'm like, listen to the feeling of this song, and then I'll play them, you know, some metallic hardcore song or death metal song, and then I'll be like, now listen to this. Think about the feeling you get from this, and I'll play like Yonkers from Tyler, and I'm
Yeah.
like, it's the same. Like they sound very different, but like you still
It's
get
still
that
got
same vibe.
aggression. Yeah, yeah, not definitely, most definitely, for
You,
sure. Like, sorry, cool.
no, you go ahead. I'm here for you. I talk too much.
And that's all good. No, I was just gonna say, like, yeah, that is like the aggression and everything in hip hop, like old school hip hop. Going back to what we were saying, like I do feel like we even would hold a lot of elements with that within our music, but it's a lot subtle. Like even with little things um, like I grew up listening to a lot of like reggae and dancehall and stuff like that, and we have a lot of like samba beats and stuff in our music, which I feel like is incorporated is in our music because obviously I grew up listening to that, and that's something that we can all like we all enjoy within our band, and we found a way to like do that but with heavy music.
Yeah. Well, also, I think earlier you brought up Radiohead, which is another band I consider there to be a lot of crossover with in terms of tone, even though clearly they're not like anywhere near being a metal or even really a heavy band.
Yeah.
Are you like a big Radiohead fan?
Honestly, not as much as Eric and Faisal. Faisal's the one you want to speak to if you want to talk about Radiohead. He is like
Okay.
absolutely obsessed.
Man, I'm gonna have him on here too. You should get them in the
Oh
room.
yeah. Yeah, nah, they're just about to sound check, so.
No, it's all good. I can hear the bass drum in the background.
Oh, can you? Yeah, that's Sean going in.
Yeah, no, it's all good. I mean, speaking of the sound check, like, are you guys just like getting ready to play? Who are you playing with right now?
We're currently on tour with a band called God Complex, who are incredible. You should definitely check out. They're like, I don't even know how I could like describe it. It's like thrashy, but then like sludgy, like hardcore. Like I don't even. And then they've got like some beatdown parts. It's just a mashup of like everything that is amazing in heavy music.
I'll have to
And
check
then
them out.
yeah, they're so amazing. And then we're on tour with another band as well called Foxjaw, who are amazing, incredible live band. They've just got their own like vibe. It's so sick, almost Deftonesy in a way, but like more rock-esque, if that makes sense. But yeah, we're on tour playing Cardiff tonight. We played Birmingham yesterday, and I think we had the day off the day after that, day before that. Sorry. And yeah, the shows have been incredible. We played our release show at Liverpool. Do you know when we released the album? It was on the 7th. We played Liverpool, and that was like probably one of the best shows of my life. Like it was incredible. Like all of my family were there, all of my friends were there. Like friends that I hadn't spoken to in years, who didn't even really know like how far I'd gotten with like music and stuff like that. So like for them to be able to witness what we're doing it was very special. It was a special night.
That's cool, man.
Yeah.
Do you have any like bucket list bands that you would love to tour with?
Ooh, Deftones, of course. It has to be.
Well, he already tweeted you out, so man, you got to get in
I know
contact.
that it would be incredible if we could make that happen. But Slipknot as well, of course. Who else? Have you ever listened to Flying Lotus?
Yeah, a little bit. I know some people that are big into them. I've never just like I haven't spent enough time with it, but I'm familiar.
Okay. Yeah. No, I'd love to do a tour with them. Like that would be amazing. Who else? Faisal would probably say the 1975 because he is obsessed with them, and Radiohead as well.
Nice.
But I'd really love to like tour with like a hip hop artist or like a grime artist or someone in the vein of like hardcore hip hop, if that makes sense. Like more heavy. hard hitting type stuff. Like I'd love to do something like that. I just
Well,
don't know. Like it's a risk because it could go really really well or like absolutely terrible.
I mean, possibly, but it was funny. I was just gonna say or ask you really if that was something you were interested in because I'm seeing more and more interesting bills like that, like a lot more eclectic shows. In fact, my friend was just showing me one recently where it was like all over the place in terms of who was on the bill. Everything from like really intense heavy music to like really soft stuff and hip hop. I also know. I had this I had a dude from this industrial band Three Teeth on, and they were I think touring with Ghost Main, and
Oh,
so yeah, it's like it's kind of anything goes right now. So if that's something you're interested, now's the time to do it because it seems like there's a lot of like weird crossover happening right now. I
yeah,
think
for
it's rad.
sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
funnily enough, on a few of the shows of this tour, we played with a guy called the Well Runs Red, and it's sort of uh like like heavy bass beats with like screaming over it, but it's like almost like rapping screaming. So like I think that's like the furthest we've gone with like playing with anyone who's in like the whole hip hop like area of music.
Is it
But
kind of
I'd
is it?
really love to sorry.
No, go for it.
I
I'll
don't know.
come back.
I'd really love to play some shows with Scarlord. I don't know if you've ever listened to him,
Mm-mm.
but he's like he's that same sort of type vibe of music where it's just like really distorted bass and then like screaming over it. Which it's not everyone's cup of tea, but like it's a fun vibe to watch live. Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Is it kind of like Death Grips?
Yeah, in a way. Which is I literally just got onto Death Grips in the past like few days, and I'm absolutely like
They're
they
crazy,
blew
man.
they blew me away. Like I can't believe it took me so long to like listen to them, but they're really good. I'd love to play shows with them. That would be incredible.
Yeah. They're fucking nuts. I would like even though I haven't spent a ton of time listening to them, what I've heard is enough for me to be like honestly, I don't even necessarily want to pick up an album. I just want to go straight to the show. Like that just
Yeah,
seems like
literally.
something you have to see live. So, I'm
Mm.
keeping my eyes open for that. I feel like when people listen to this album and just Loathe in general, there's going to be a lot of comparisons to other big kind of metallic hardcore groups like right now, like Code Orange, Knocked
Yeah.
Loose, Vane, maybe even Harm's Way. I don't know if you have thoughts on any of those groups.
And Knock Loose, absolutely amazing band. Like so sick. Code Orange again, incredible band. Their new single that they
Yeah,
recently put out blew my head off.
like I
Like,
I feel like you two need to share a bill in particular because the way I'm even framing it is I'm kind of seeing your album going sort of head to head with their album just in that you're both even though you sound different, you're both doing this thing where you've got like this extremely heavy metallic hardcore but then also you're folding in these kind of weirder influences from like new metal and post metal and just pure atmosphere and ambient and I'm interested to see how it plays out with theirs too because yeah those singles are nuts.
yeah, no, they're crazy. I'm really excited to hear that album. But like, yeah, no, I definitely get what you mean. Like we do defo like have the same it's almost like it's in the same realm, but it's not the same thing.
Yeah, it's definitely not the same thing but there's again
Mm.
it's kind of like the same vibe like I was saying
Yeah.
before like there's this and a similar kind of just the way it's being approached from an artistic standpoint. I don't know.
Mm.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
no, definitely, definitely. Yeah, I'd really love to tour with those guys. That would be incredible.
Yeah, I caught them with they were opening for Meshuggah
Oh,
and
really?
yeah, they played a venue on and it was on the second floor where the stage is and the floor was just like I was afraid the venue was going to collapse. Like it was ridiculous. It was fucking ridiculous.
Yo. Yeah, I saw them with they toured with Gojira like not too long ago. Well, I say not too long ago. It was a few years ago now. But I saw them in Manchester in England, and yeah, now blew me away. Honestly, like I'm not one to mosh, but I was in the pit for the majority of their set.
Yeah, you like I'm to the point now where I'm like I'm too old for that shit. Like I'm not that old, but I'm old enough to know that these, 18 or early 20-year-olds are going to kick my fucking ass if I'm anywhere near that pit. And they were doing like the bass player was like doing flips into the crowd and
Jeez.
shit was getting like torn up. So man, it was great to be right there and see it all. But I'm like, no, I don't want to be in the middle of that. I know there was that one chick at the show a couple of years ago who got like her jaw busted.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, yeah, I remember
yeah,
that.
I don't need that.
I think that was around the time that they were on tour with Gojira, you know. I think that
Yeah, it
might
might
be.
have been.
Yeah. But yeah, no, Vane as well. Vane, incredible band. I've actually saw them live once before as well, a while ago in Manchester, in a tiny venue. I think they were playing with. Have you ever heard of a hardcore band called Broken Teeth?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think it was them, Broken Teeth, and someone else. Either that or I'm getting it mixed up. Either that or I'd seen them both at the same venue. But yeah, it was around that time. But they were amazing live, incredible, and their music, man. Their music is like probably one of the first albums, other than Code Orange, funnily enough, that I've like with heavy music. It's very easy for me to get like out of touch with it because, well, like listen to it like a lot. Some bands can get a bit repetitive,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
but like I feel like with Vane and Code Orange, even Knock Loose as well, like it it just stands out to me in like a way no other band really does.
And they keep it fresh too. Like it
Yeah,
seems
that's what I'm
like
saying.
yeah.
It doesn't feel like it's been done before. It may be like obviously every band's done breakdowns or whatever, but like they just have a way of doing it, which is just sick.
Yeah. Well, that was what I loved so much about, I Let It In and It Took Everything, really, is that it just feels so like it's this tightrope walk of it's very familiar elements that like pull at my heartstrings in terms of like historically growing up with like Deftones and then also nowadays being such a big fan of these other hardcore bands. But then also it's so fresh and unique and doesn't sound like any other album as a whole that I've listened to in a long time. And that's like what I strive for because I do get so much music, and a lot of it is, like you said, just like the same stuff over and over again. So I try to really, latch on as soon as I catch an album like this. And I'm really glad you're taking the time to do this with me too, because those are the groups I really want to talk to because I want to hear all about like where's that coming from, and
Yeah,
how do we
yeah.
end
Well,
up on
no,
the same
man.
wavelength?
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be doing this. It's really cool. Like I'm all for it, man. Thank you for having me. For
Yeah, I
real.
hope you get on bigger and bigger podcasts and stuff too, because mine's pretty humble. But I've seen plenty of other groups like move from here
But,
onto some big stuff.
hey,
So yeah.
I think that just cuts up then. Sorry. You were saying, I hope you get on bigger.
Yeah, I was just saying because this is a pretty humble podcast that I'm proud of, but like it's been
Mm.
cool to see bands come talk on here and then like hit it big, and then next thing I know, I'm hearing them on like much bigger stuff, and I think you guys definitely have the opportunity to do that, given just how amazing
Oh,
this
sorry,
album is.
disconnected again.
The
Oh yeah, yeah.
album's amazing. That's what I'm putting out there.
Thank you,
Yeah, like
thank you
it's
so much.
already poised to be on probably my best of the year, even though it's only February. So
Wow,
yeah, it's gonna
thank
be
you so much.
it's gonna be on the top 10. I'm fairly confident of that. It would take some strong contenders to knock it down.
Jeez, fair. That's so crazy. And like, obviously, I've heard that a lot since we've like released the album. Loads of people being like, "Oh, contender for album of the year." It's such a like, it just blows my mind because I'm like, yeah, we've been sitting on this music for so long. You go through the motions of like loving it and then questioning it, like, "Oh, is this good enough?" And then you love it again, and then you hate it, and then to go through so many emotions with this album, and then to have it out and have people's feedback and for it to confirm everything we originally thought of for this album is
Yeah, it's amazing. Like
thank
that's
you,
got to be the
thank
best
you.
feeling. Do you all
Yeah,
have
I'm
any
very grateful.
do you have any US tour dates lined up at this point?
Ooh, nothing I can speak about right now,
Okay.
but we will definitely at some point this year be in America, like for sure.
Okay.
Has to happen.
Cool. Yeah, I will hit the West Coast and come to Portland because I am dying to see this shit played live. I think that would be like a
Yeah, man, for
spiritual
sure.
experience. But
Yeah, man,
yeah.
for sure.
But I know you guys are doing your sound check, the connection's going to shit, and this seems like a natural kind of ending point anyways. Any final thoughts, things you want to share before we wrap it up?
I just want to say I'd love to, even if so, we could maybe do this again in the future with the
Yeah,
full band.
I would
Because
love that.
I'd love you to ask more questions about, like, you know, other bands like Radiohead and everything, and just, you know, get any answers that you want answered, any questions that you have answered. Sorry, but yeah, no, I just want to say to whoever's listening, thank you so much for the support. It's the album hasn't even been out like a week yet, I don't think, and oh wait, it may have just been a week, but it hasn't been out long. What I'm saying, and to have the feedback that we've had already is incredible. Thank you so much, and you know we're going to continue to create music that you hopefully, yeah.
Hell yeah, man! I'll be following, and definitely like if I love doing full band interviews, and I love coming back around and doing second time. So
Yeah.
you've got my contact info now. I also shot an email to the email that was given to me, and so
Okay.
yeah, feel free when you all have the time and we can work it out. I know the time zone difference makes it challenging, but we'll figure something out.
Yeah, man, for sure we will. Cool.
All right, man. Well, thanks again so much for taking the time, and it's been cool talking to you. And just stay in touch, and good luck at the show.
Thank you, man. Thank you. It's been an honor. Take care.
Yep. Have a good one. And that'll do it for another episode of Trench Talk. Thank you, as always, for listening. I really appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed it. As always, if you haven't already, please do subscribe to the channel. Again, you can listen to this podcast on iTunes, Spotify, CastBox, YouTube, and BitChute. But regardless of where you subscribe, also subscribe to the YouTube channel because there are plenty of other videos and track premieres, album tier lists, lots of content for you to watch there and enjoy. Also, hop down in the description. You can find links to all of our social media. You can join our email newsletter, which I send out every Friday just to keep you up to date with everything that's happening at metaltrenches.com. And also, please, if you're a returning listener and you really feel like you're getting added value from this, think of us as that old like metal magazine subscription that you used to get to your door, and you would pay for that. So we have a Patreon and Subscribe Star. Just $1 a month even would make a huge difference. Your couch change, it really adds up when everybody's getting in, and it helps me cover the overhead costs of hosting the podcast, hosting the website, getting new equipment, and just kind of like I put a lot of time into this, and it helps to get that extra support. But in any case, I think that'll do it for now. Flight of Icarus signing off. I will see you in the trenches.